NativeScript community chat, Wednesday, September 16th, 2020. And today we are going to have a short one for you, just with some updates about the CLI. All right, so we got 7.0.8 of the CLI that just recently got released. You can install it by using npm install-g NativeScript. You're going to get all the latest goodies here. And here is a summary of what's out, and maybe Nathan, who's on the call, can also fill in a couple of gaps here. The migrate command has been updated. There are a couple of other fixes related to clean and run, just general improvements. Nathan, you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I think back on the releases page, if you tap on releases, 707 also came out in the past week. So both of those, I think if you tap on releases there, it should show all the tags. 707 as well is something that if you were on 706, there was quite a bit that came in with 707 and 08. So just improvements with run, just general edge cases that we've been finding, just been doing a lot of follow-up to make sure the CLI was in good order with dealing with old project setups as well as new. So if anyone out there has been using the new CLI against an older project of theirs, please let us know if you still see anything. We believe we have most of those cases handled, but definitely let us know.
Thanks for that, Nathan. So yeah, broad improvements over some of the commands, some of the newer commands that are out as well. Like clean, that's a new command, and migrate is a new command. Go ahead, try it out if you haven't yet. Now, about the native class decorator. We've been talking a lot about this lately, and this is going to improve some of the native implementations in your own plugins or your own code. Basically, native class allows you to decorate an extended native method. Here's an example right here. So if you're exporting a class, your implementation extends NSObject, and NSObject is a native class in iOS. You're going to throw this native class decorator on top of that. And there is another, sometimes there is another addition you have to do, and that's to wrap that in a closure. And this has to do with the way ES 2017 works versus the ES5. And I think Nathan can expound on that.
Yeah, I think for anyone that has seen the solution or tried it or had a plugin that had a setup like that, it's a common case that a lot of native class decorations are used in the file that they're consumed, but it's not always the case. And so this is really to handle a pretty nuanced case where you were exporting an actual native class extension solely on its own in a file that needed to be used outside. The closure solves it because it actually wraps it in a proper ES7 symbol, which the native class decoration modifies the syntax for the runtimes, which is a little bit different than a ESM export. So it's a case that you generally only want to be aware of if you are doing singular native class extension exports in that way.
There you go, folks. And there are some examples and videos out there already that show the usage of native class along with that closure right there. And we can link some down below in the description. Now, this is super exciting. The plugin seed, this is new, just been released, I believe, this week. You can go ahead and try it out right now. This is basically a new way of creating NativeScript plugins that's going to blow you away if you haven't seen this already. And this is going to simplify the process of building multiple plugins. It's going to simplify publishing to NPM, as well as the demo applications. So if you've ever written plugins before for NativeScript, you know that you have to create demo applications for it. And that has been a pain because for every plugin, you have to create a set of demo apps for Angular, Vue, Core, and React, Svelte. If you didn't have to do React and Svelte before, but you could. And now this plugin seed is going to handle everything for you in a mono repo, which is really, really cool and convenient. There's a blog post on nativescript.org. You can check out the blog, by the way, if you haven't seen that before. There are a few posts in the last week or two by the Technical Steering Committee, TSC, that have been put up here regarding updates to NativeScript 7 in general. And this latest one right here on Monday, September 14th is specifically about the plugins. So go check that out. There's also a link to a video there where I go through showing you how to do that. So yeah, that's the announcement for the plugin workflow. Nathan, anything you want to add about that?
The only thing I'll add is that generally the 2020 plan, what we're trying to do is help cases like major releases. You know, in general, I think it's always the case with any front-end framework. You know, a major release comes out, Angular 10, Angular 9, even just in the web community has been going through a lot of this lately. And just how do you get to those versions when plugins are holding you back? You know, it's a pretty common situation in tech communities in general. So we wanted to do something that can help this going forward. And it's kind of part in line with kind of the whole 2020 goals, which is just trying to help simplify and streamline a lot of the source maintenance, you know, which will typically allow us to move faster with JS standards and have the community kind of there with us. And so the plugin workspaces will really allow you to keep your plugins up to date more readily and with a bit more ease, because we can actually introduce migrations to plugin workspaces that will allow those plugins to adhere and update kind of by themselves through migrations we introduce. So you can generally do less in the future with plugin maintenance by kind of getting in there and being able to configure and work in there. But I think also to simplify for yourself personally, and if you're an organization that maintains your own plugins, whether you're publishing them out publicly, of course, it's totally up to you. Maybe you're just managing a suite of plugins internally, privately for your own organization. It would even help that case because you're just not having to deal with so many different dependencies, packages, and tsconfig configurations, which is half the battle, if not 75% of the battle in plugin maintenance.
Yep. And if you want to hop right into it and try it out for yourself, you can do that right here on github.com/nativescript/plugin-seed. As you can see, it's pretty fresh. You have instructions on what to do right over here as well. So that wraps it up. Nice and quick today. Any questions?
Hello, yes, I have a question. I've seen your videos regarding OAuth2 plugin migration throughout the last 2 weeks. And actually I have a plugin, a fork of this plugin I was migrating myself now. So the video came really at a good point in time. But when I was debugging and I realized that this add-native class thing gave me some difficulties with debugging. Actually, I was not able to set debug breakpoints in Chrome. Is this normal, or is it maybe just a configuration problem I have?
Did you drop the plugin in the workspace, or are you working from a kind of manual update?
Not sure. I'm not sure how you mean this.
The plugin that you updated, is it in a state that you manually updated, or did you drop it in the workspace and you're debugging from these plugin workspaces?
No, so it was included via the dot source, so like exactly in the same way like in the OAuth2 plugin. So it's actually a fork of it.
Got it.
So it was compiled separately, and then I compiled the demo app. And when I was debugging the demo app, I couldn't see, I couldn't step into the sources which were in the add-native class scope.
You might post a, trying to think where you could send it. You could send a link of the fork. Actually drop it in the chat here and we'll pull it up and take a look at the setup there and just see. It's possible either the source map configuration is off or there's something else configured there.
Okay, so because it's interesting, I can step everywhere and set breakpoints everywhere, but not in this extended class, which has this native class thing.
Yeah, definitely drop a link if you don't mind before we close the call. If you'll drop it in the chat there, if that's possible.
I
Otherwise,
haven't on GitHub yet, but maybe I can then post it next week.
yeah, you can also feel free to email it to support@nativescript.org if you'd like, and that also would work.
Okay, great. And I do have another question. Last week you mentioned that the Firebase plugin would be finished porting till this week. So is there any news on this?
Great question. Yes, so 11 final was just released this morning. And yeah, thanks to two great contributors, we found two final issues, one related to login on Android, the other related to Firestore on Android as well. We cleared those this morning. So yeah, 11 final is published. Definitely use that. If you're using NativeScript 7, we're actually going to update the plugin compatibility list today to mention that, and let us know if you have any issue.
Mm-hmm.
And should we mention where that plugin can be found for those that don't know?
Yes, you could probably pull up that plugin compatibility list there as well. At NativeScript Firebase 11 is the version to use.
Okay, so there's NativeScript Firebase, not NativeScript plugin Firebase, and then there's this one called at NativeScript Firebase.
Yeah, generally for most 7.0 and beyond plugins, they're generally scoped for some that were in high use. So you can always, if you're having trouble finding it, it's possible it was just scoped. But that plugin compatibility list is what we're really working to maintain to be kind of the nice look of NativeScript 7 plugins.
Okay.
NPM is always the best place to look, ultimately, because that has the most up-to-date version information for sure.
Maybe another question, because I'm also looking for a NativeScript localize migration. So is it then on the at NativeScript available as well already?
Let's have Alex open the compatibility list. There you can see 11 was released 4 hours ago. So NPM is always a nice reference guide on at least the most cutting edge up to date if you're curious on a version. But yeah, 11.0 was published 4 hours ago. The localize, I think someone may have mentioned that in the compatibility list. I vaguely recall that. So we can take a look at that one as well. Pull up the NativeScript.org site, Alex, and go to blogs, and let's pull up that plugin compatibility list. Yeah, so this list right here is really something that we are continually updating. And you might search for localize in here. If it's not on the immediate list, probably someone mentioned it below, and we can get that one updated if that's blocking you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I mentioned it in the comments below today, but it was not in the list this afternoon.
Yeah, the thing we're trying to do, at least with some, the harder decisions for us is if that is a plugin that's maintained by an author out there that we've had trouble reaching. In those cases, we've been trying to be careful about just updating and publishing outright, because we want to give the author, of course, time to do the update if they want to do the update and publish. So in cases, you know, where there is just no response, generally we will try to get in and help. So localize, I can't recall if that's one actually part of the NativeScript org or not, but if it is, certainly is one we can take an update for you.
Great. Okay, thanks a lot.
Yeah, thanks, Christoph.
Thanks, everybody. And if there's any more questions, feel free to comment down below. This video will be up later today or tomorrow. And yeah, it's nice of you to all show up. Thank you very much. And thanks to the TSC for doing a great job.
Thanks, Alex. Take care, everyone.
Bye, everybody.